Chapter 187. Night Talks in the Imperial Palace. Liu family in capital city. A journey of Fuya_3. Liu Xinglan stood in place, a joyful expression on his face. But his lips moved a second later, yet no words came out. He remained silent for a moment, observing the place where Han Yi was currently seated. His demeanor suddenly turned respectful, and he greeted, "Greetings, immortal." This courtesy and reverence left Han Yi somewhat dazed, as if he could travel back to many years ago. Today, when he just arrived at Langlang Village, and his initial regret of selling his life. "Immortal, do you two know each other?" To dignify, middle-aged man in the brocade robe in the lead sensed the two men's demeanors and asked curiously, "We met many years ago." Han Yi spoke with a somewhat complicated expression. "You've met before, why didn't you say anything earlier? We were so estranged from the immortal and thought we were the forgetful ones neglecting him." The middle-aged man in the brocade robe chided Liu Xinglan and turned to look at Han Yi with a welcoming smile. "I've long heard of the great reputation of the Dragon Sparrow sect. Could it be that you're a true inheritance disciple sent by the Dragon Sparrow sect?" Once these words came out, many people turned to look. Undoubtedly, many people were curious about Han Yi's background. "I am Han Yi, merely a direct disciple." Han Yi looked around then spoke, his face expressionless. What does being a direct disciple matter? With such strength, coupled with youthfulness, becoming a true inheritance disciple is only a matter of time. Indeed, the Dragon Sparrow sect is a top-tier blessed land, not to be underestimated. The young talents of this generation, their aptitudes are getting higher and higher. In such a prosperous era, what kind of wave can the demonic sect even make? Hearing the words of the people present, Han Yi's brow slightly furrowed. The Dragon Sparrow sect and the Liu family of the capital city are too far apart. You should look elsewhere. A cold voice interjected beside him. With one sentence, Bai Kaifu left the middle-aged man in the brocade robe speechless. Knowing the other party's identity as the princess of the Gold Crow Kingdom, who was likely trying to win over this young man, they could not afford to offend the Gold Crow Kingdom and had to leave dejectedly. If you don't like something, you could just reject it directly. "Why are you upset?" Bakyafu was in a green dress. As a princess, her every action followed etiquette, her demeanor noble and elegant. Sitting beside Han Yi, she couldn't help but ask, "Just reminded me of some things." Han Yi heaved a deep sigh. "It seems that you, like me, also don't like this court." Bai Kaifu could tell that he was preoccupied and lost in thought, but she did not point it out. "As an envoy of the Gold Crow Kingdom, my eyes have seen many high officials and emperors, so I naturally resist the world of power and gain." Han Yi glanced at her and asked, "You, as the sword-bearer of Cold Waterfall, do not stay in Fuya State." "Why is that?" Propping her cheek in her hand, Bai Kaifu laughed and explained, "As long as you receive the recognition of Fuya Sword Palace, and are bestowed the title of sword-bearer, you don't necessarily have to stay in Fuya State." "Are all the sword-bearers like you, traveling the seas?" Bai Kaifu shook her head. "It varies from person to person. I like to travel far, while some sword-bearers might choose to stay in Fuya State." "Why? You seem particularly interested in sword-bearers." The observant her noticed Han Yi's special attention towards Fuya State. "Just curious." Han Yi gave a casual response, his thoughts drifting off, and an image of a woman in white with a smiling face floated in his mind. "It seems like you have no plans to stay here for long. Are you also planning to travel far?" Han Yi nodded. "I originally came to the capital city to escort a friend to assume his post. Now that the crisis has been resolved and the person has been delivered, it's time for me to leave." "Where are you going?" Although Bai Kaifu had some guesses in her heart, she still asked. "Fuya State, the holy land of sword cultivators."